Okay, bro, glaze like this should be illegal, dude. I mean, I guess technically they're not wrong. Like the room felt an air of, there was a messianic energy in the room. Like, yeah, they do think he's the Messiah. Why did Trump recount his assassination attempt with the most boring picture slideshow? Bro, what is he supposed to do? Recreate it? Actually, I wouldn't put it past him to do that. Do exactly that. I could see him do that. Just like recreate it step by step and just like break out into song and dance.
Ever appear with him anymore. So this is the first time that she's been seen by his side. I don't know exactly in how long, but in a very long time, having sort of an awkward greeting with her on the stage that I think was a little performative. He appeared to be...
Trump literally kissed everything but his wife last night. You're wrong. He did kiss his wife. He kissed his wife on stage after his speech was over. I watched it. Don't ever come for my president like that, okay? My real president.
Sort of feigning surprise to see her, but that was... and then the rest of the family and his running mate, J.D. Vance, and his wife.
Do you believe Trump can end all wars? Yeah, definitely. Yes, I'm delusional. I was comatose for the 4 years of Donald Trump's presidency. So, of course, I think Trump can end all wars.
Joining them on stage. This is...
Which, by the way, under his reign, he ended 0. But, you know, under his reign, under his rule, America did not end any of their wars, even though he claimed he would. He will say he's not engaging. Like, he says that he ended all wars under his presidency. And I think people are too stupid and think that that is the truth, but you know.
Not just the longest convention speech in the modern era. It is the longest convention speech in the modern era by a very long way. The previous record holder was Donald Trump in 2016 when he gave what was then the longest convention speech that had ever been given in the modern era.
Biden ended more wars but had a worse net war change. Yes, that is also technically not untrue. That is true. That is technically true. Biden did end one of the wars, Afghanistan, which was technically Trump's Afghan withdrawal policy, which Biden followed through on to a T. And I will always give him credit for that. I will always give him credit for that. The media, however, was very mad that he did that. And that, I think, was the turning point in his administration. That's when the media had the knives out for him. They went nutty mode over it. And then, of course, the Afghan withdrawal was nothing because, you know, Russia invaded Ukraine. And then after Russia invaded Ukraine, then we had, you know, an energy crisis, a simultaneous energy crisis that was made worse by the fact that greedflation was going nutty mode, where all of these corporations were taking advantage of like the increased prices, where demand went up, people started shopping again, whereas supply could not keep up as a consequence of the logistical issues that occurred during COVID. And then they realized like, oh, we could just keep the prices this high. And then the energy crisis post-Ukraine invasion. You know, people experienced a lot of negative real wage growth for a year and a half under the Biden administration, something that they will not forget, obviously. And then on top of that, October 7 at the last minute, in the last year of Brandon's administration, October 7 happened, and Israel has been doing a genocide ever since, which Brandon has been obviously defending.
This, we passed that by, I think, about 20 minutes. We knew this was going to be a long speech when we got first the excerpts and then the full text of it scripted at probably about an hour. But this came in over an hour.
That Jacob Soboroff playing with the balloons.
Experience. Former president did get to most of the words on the teleprompter, but added a whole lot more.
Yeah, there was a lot of extra cereal in the box, if you will.
Yes. Nicole Wallace, what did you think?
Well, so interestingly, it was pointed out to me that Fox News had stopped carrying his speeches about a month ago. And I thought that was curious. And it was when there was a lot in them about electrocution.
Yeah, if if one of those balloons popped while Trump was giving his speech, yes, that would have dramatically altered the trajectory of this election. Okay, you don't understand. One balloon pop and it's game over. Okay, we would have seen a very different Trump after that.
And sharks. I think when you watch what is arguably his biggest opportunity to speak before the most Americans, you see a little bit of where some of that thinking might be, right? This was very extemporaneous. It was, I think, about half and half, right? Half of it was the scripted speech, and there was about 50% extra added. In the room, it was messianic. People were crying, and they definitely loved it. Trump, who
at the beginning they loved it and were crying.
Yeah,
Okay, bro, glaze like this should be illegal, dude. I mean, I guess technically they're not wrong. Like the room felt an air of, there was a messianic energy in the room. Like, yeah, they do think he's the Messiah. But like, I don't know, maybe put a little bit of energy on here and you know, talk about how that's kind of weird. I think they should say that.
Yeah, I didn't see a lot.
The New York Times actually reported, and we're trying to chase this down, but that.
I love how a bunch of former leaders around the world have come out with heavy support of Trump. I'm more convinced than ever that Trump has the strength and bravery to save Ukraine and end this appalling war. Yeah, okay, Boris. Okay, Boris, go to bed.
Actually, by the end, the upper level seats, people were emptying.
Well, and the Times had a great sort of bottom line on this. In the beginning, he said he'd changed. By the end, it was pretty clear he hadn't, or hadn't very much. I think if you're wondering what impact this has on a viewing audience, you have to wonder how much of it the viewing audience stayed through. It was longer than current modern baseball games with the new pitching clock. I don't even know that all baseball games last that long. It was very lengthy. It was very meandering. I hope that the bigger message anyone in the pro-democracy side got tonight is that the pro-democracy candidate, the Democratic person, can beat him, and by a lot and decisively, rendering the story that you covered with Jim Rutenberg meaningless, if that should happen. The other thing is, if you're looking in here for kernels of substance, describing what happened to him on Saturday night, saying this is the one and only time he'll do that, we'll see, right? It seemed like a story that once he got into it, he enjoyed connecting over and sharing. I think
slow down on that point just for a second, just to make sure that people understand when Trump, in case you didn't watch the whole.
I remember, didn't you say England is memed as the Americans of Europe? That's what my Thai friends say. Yeah, England is the America of Europe. Yes.
Speech.
Oh yes.
At the beginning of his speech, Trump.
Are you
came
streaming
out,
tomorrow?
very, very
Yes. Why wouldn't I be?
With
a reenactment.
A reticent, very soft-spoken kind of sing-song, but very tightly scripted, reading the teleprompter, recreation, description, moment by moment of the shooting at his rally last Saturday. People in the crowd were weeping, and he did very dramatically say, "You will hear this from me once and then never again, because it is too painful to speak about." It was a very strange opening to the speech. It was very moving to the people in the room.
And we'll see if that's the only time he ever tells the story, if it is, you know, a little bit of political history that we all witnessed, I guess, together. There's a lot of audacity. There are also a few tells. I mean, I think you saw the impact of the immunity decision in some of the speech, bragging about calling people who come to the country illegally an invasion so that he could use the military was a line in the speech. I thought he also showed his hand a little bit on how he would pursue or identify enemies, saying, they say I'm a threat to democracy. Well, I'm protecting democracy. So I saw a few sort of flashing yellow lights in this. I think the larger political thing for everyone to understand is that this is not a focused candidate. This is not a disciplined candidate. This is not a candidate with a simple message of what he wants to do. And when he stands alone, he certainly appears to be someone who should easily be contrasted to.
Chris Hayes?
The first part of the speech, I was struck by the fact that this was a 78-year-old man who had just gone through a profoundly traumatic experience and was forced to reckon with his own mortality and how scary that was to him, and that he is an old man in the latter stages of his life, most likely. He's 78 years old. The time comes for all of us. And that part of it was a part of Trump you don't see because I don't think he enjoys thinking about that at all. I also felt like the biggest takeaway after what has been 3 of the most painful weeks that I've ever seen in this is not a colossus. This is not the big bad wolf. This is not a vigorous and incredibly deft political communicator. This is an old man in decline who's been doing the same shtick for a very good long time, and it's really wearing pretty thin. And he is a beatable candidate. This was not, and Democrats have been feeling a lot of panic and fear and anxiety, and understandably so. But I don't think anyone watched that speech.
I mean, yeah, I get what he's saying. I get what he's saying. He's basically saying this is the old Trump. This is the classic Trump. He didn't actually make like a genuine pivot for unity, or what remains of like the goodwill that he could have cultivated here. He kind of cast aside. And it's not wrong. He's not wrong. Donald Trump, the old Trump, the Trump that we know, is the Trump that everybody hates. Okay? He just did. He basically had like a brief moment in the beginning where he was like, oh yeah, it was really sad. I got shot and it was terrifying. And then immediately went to the hits. He basically did the same rally speech he was going to do. The only thing that was different is that he did not actually call out Biden by name, call him Sleepy Joe, whatever. And the only reason why he didn't do that, it was because it was strategic. That's it. He strategically did not take a lot of at Joe Biden. He did at the Democrats. He did at Nancy Pelosi. He is still very much beatable. Okay. He is still very much beatable. Of course he is. He was the president. He is already maxed out on name recognition, just like Biden is maxed out on name recognition. He's the incumbent, right? So people are already like, they've made their opinions on Trump. Okay. They've made up their minds on Trump. That's why, like, even post-assassination attempt, like, you didn't see a dramatic shift in the polls. Coping hard. This isn't coping. I still think that the current Democratic Party, with Biden leading the ticket, has a very hard, has a very bad chance of defeating Donald Trump. Okay? I do. This race should not be close at all. This race should not be close at all. And yet it is, and it's currently favoring Donald Trump. This is the first time Donald Trump has actually been leading in the polls. In 2020, he never led in the polls. He lost. In 2016, he never led in the polls, and he won. This is the first time where he has consistently led in the polls, okay? Despite Biden's glaringly obvious flaws, okay? What is happening? What is this? Kaya Place. What the hell? She just came over here and just sat down next to me like I called her over here or something.
Of this group, 11 of the 13.
Oh, we'll do the undecided voter focus group. I love a dumb shit like this. Anyway, just curious, what does your Twitter For You page look like? Is it just filled with right-wing nuts as well? Yes. That's literally the reason why I don't use Twitter as much anymore. Yeah. Biden's approval rating is underwater, historic lows for an incumbent. No incumbent has ever won when they are this far, they are this unpopular. Okay. It doesn't work like that. That's a major issue. Okay. That's a major issue that the Biden camp, or at least like what remains of the Biden camp, refuses to recognize. Having said all of that, however, and I reiterate this position quite frequently in my endless, ceaseless coverage of Joe Biden's Joe Biden's deteriorating brain, one thing that I consistently point to is how unpopular Trump is as well. There is, however, a major difference between Joe Biden and Trump. This is, yet again, just like 2020, a Trump election. Okay? In 2020, people voted against Trump. They did not vote for Biden. They voted against Trump. They voted for Biden because they were led to believe that Joe Biden is the best person to beat Trump. Okay? Now, that argument has gone away. There is no Joe Biden is the best person to beat Trump argument you can make any longer. So there is no reason for Joe Biden to stay in the race. And that is precisely the reason why so many people are looking at what is going on and saying maybe Joe Biden should drop out and be subbed with a candidate that is at least competent, semi-competent. Okay? But that doesn't change that does not change the reality that Donald Trump is still a deeply polarizing and deeply unpopular figure. He is phenomenally popular in his base. He is phenomenally unpopular outside of his immediate base. Okay? Joe Biden doesn't really have a base. His base is just hard Democrats for the most part. Let's continue.
Wow. That's an incredible, like, that's going to be hard to top. That's going to be hard to beat. How are we going to message against this guy?
Yo, can you open the door for delivery? I got groceries.
For folks who haven't watched rally, that was just a Trump rally, but with some speech sort of woven through.
Thanks.
I just think you got to look at that and think, like, it's really important if you're on the pro-democracy part of the country to stop him from getting back into office, but that should be a doable thing.
So the concept of conventions in the television age has been prime time. There are 3 hours of prime time in television, 8, 9, and 10. And the job of the final night of the convention was to make sure that the presidential nominee was on between 10 and 11. The final hour of prime time, because that actually reaches across the country more strongly than any of the other hours of prime time, given the way our time zones work. He got on at 10:30, which means 30 minutes of his speech was in prime time, and then he went on for another hour after that. And so that is a complete failure of convention scheduling that people have been working with, you know, since the 1960s, that you're supposed to try to, not try to observe, you must observe. And Donald Trump, watching that guy, the adjective Donald Trump has for guys like that is low energy. He's the one who invented that to describe Jeb Bush. That was a very low energy Donald Trump. That was not, you have to be a Donald Trump worshiper to hang in for the whole 90 minutes, to listen to all of it. This is the speech in which you're trying to get people who you don't.
I think he went longer than 90. Didn't he go for like 2 hours?
Already have. I don't see how this speech could have done that.
Joy? To paraphrase Eric Killmonger.
I mean, you watched the whole thing. I did. It was 93 minutes. It's 92 minutes. It felt like a lifetime. I'm not joking. It was 1 hour and 32 minutes, and it felt like it was 8 hours. It was so long, so boring, so convoluted, and so filled to the brim with all of his classic tropes, all of the classic, like, reactionary politics, like with this time with like lower energy than usual too. I was driving while listening. How time I took the distance he was done, I had driven 567 miles. What are you, on a plane?
MAGA, is this your king? If Joe Biden had given a rambling, shambling, all over the place speech like that, elected Democrats.
All right, okay, I don't care about the MSNBC takes as much. As far as the high notes goes, I mean, as far as the high notes goes, Trump obviously did the classic, like, immigrants are every single person you've ever seen and new people that haven't even been born yet. He said hundreds of thousands of Americans are being murdered by immigrants. He claimed that, like, Venezuela and El Salvador are actually dumping all of their, like, criminally insane into the United States of America in a deliberate attempt to invade the United States of America, which is a wild thing to say because all the people that are coming in from Venezuela actually under Trump's administration and under Joe Biden's administration have gotten temporary protected status because they are ideologically opposed to the Venezuelan government. So they're like anti-communist, right? They're supposed to be anti-communist, anti-Maduro. It's like they are literally some of the more right-wing Venezuelans, as a matter of fact. They're pro-Trump. They literally are, they are anti-Maduro. Like, you are welcoming them into the country in the same way that you're doing. You're welcoming them into the country in the same way that you did with Cubans, right? So that's rather shocking to me. Okay. Immigrants are taking 107% of created American jobs. Immigrants are both taking all the jobs, but they're also taking all the jobs of the murderers. Okay. They're taking all the jobs of the murderers. Like, immigrants aren't just taking the regular jobs, right? They're not just becoming like CEOs of companies. They're not just becoming like, they're not just taking over like the coal mines and stuff, but they're also simultaneously lazy, eating all the welfare, eating all the social safety nets that they can't even take advantage of, by the way. But they're also outcompeting our criminals. They've taken over all the murder. The murder rate does not reflect the reality that hundreds of thousands of Americans are being murdered all the time, nonstop, especially let alone by undocumented migrants. But, you know, Trump has like 1 or 2 cases that he can always point to and be like, yeah. Anyway, that is literally what conservatives think, by the way, because they don't think. They don't think at all. They just go, that's what they do. Anyway, what do you mean they can't get social services? Undocumented migrants cannot take advantage of welfare in this country. The only thing that the Republicans lie about in the least decent way possible is that they will turn around and claim that the children of undocumented migrants that were born on U.S. soil that are literally actual American citizens, okay? No matter how hard Republicans try to claim that they're not, it doesn't change the reality that they absolutely are American citizens. Their cost is tacked on to the overall billions of dollars that undocumented migrants are actually taking from the social safety nets. They say the children born into a family with at least one parent that is undocumented is still technically taking advantage of, is still tacked on to the undocumented migrant number. There are no benefits that they can take. They actually put into the Social Security. They actually contribute to sales taxes, obviously. Are you leaving? Oh, okay. All right. Damn, you're going early as hell. But that's like hella early. That's crazy early. All right.
Hello.
Is your flight fine? Have you figured it out?
I mean, apparently.
Okay.
I don't know. I hope the plane doesn't like blue screen midair.
Yeah. No, it'll be fine. Marat said it's a Boeing plane, so you're fine. Following the speech, David Axelrod said on CNN that it was the first good thing that's happened to Democrats in the last 3 weeks. Yeah. Why is Alexis not coming to the auction? Does he hate charity? Yes, he does. That's why Alexis is not coming to the auction. He hates charity.
And we already told you he died in the fire video.
Yeah, we lit him on fire and killed him. He immolated too hard. All right, let's continue. This is undecided voters are grading Trump's performance at RNC.
Scoop, 11 of the 13 still haven't decided who they're going to vote for president in November. 2 of them have decided. This gentleman right here, Kevin, for Donald Trump, he knows that already. This woman here, Paula, for Joe Biden, or the Democrat who might eventually take his place, she knows that already. Right. But what I want to ask you all first at this point, all 13 of you, what you thought of this speech, not a yes or no answer, if you thought it was good or not good. I want you to give a letter grade to it like you're in school. So I'm going to start here with you. What letter grade do you give that speech?
B.
C.
B.
C.
D.
D. A. C.
B.
B.
C.
A.
B.
So B and C seem to be the most prevalent grades. I'm going to start with you, Kevin and
That's
Dawn,
crazy.
married couple right here. You
Talking
are
to
both
them
still
like children.
undecided about
Well,
who
it's
you
a
will vote
focus
for.
group.
Yeah.
And they are children. They're fucking undecided voters. Like, how are you undecided? You have to have like brain damage to be undecided at this point. You either have decided you're not voting for anybody, or you have decided that you're voting for one party over the other. Like, who the fuck's like, I don't know. I don't know about the former president of the United States of America versus the current president of the United States of America. It's like, this is a rerun episode, dude. You've already made your decision one time.
Also, what I don't understand is like Biden is old, yes, but he was old before. Like nothing has really changed.
Well, I mean, he got older, and,
yeah, but he was
and
still demented before. Like it's weird.
I
That
know,
people
but
are
I
like,
think-
oh, massive difference. He was always demented.
I think that the difference is the media is now covering it with a little bit of truth. So like people have actually started recognizing it. People that like only watch news media never really got to see how bad things actually
Yeah,
were
maybe.
until it was like impossible to avoid. Like they were able to maintain a narrative. They were able to maintain this narrative that like Biden is fine. You know what I mean? And not like not just like losing his brain power.
Yeah.
Until that debate.
Tell me what the most important thing you thought about.
Classic, bro. Classic.
I was listening
This
to
guy.
his tone of voice, to his way of speaking and encouraging us and bringing unity to the country and those individuals that might be outside of the Republican Party.
And what grade did you give it again?
B.
Dawn, what grade did you give it again?
I gave it a C.
And what did you think of the speech?
I thought the beginning was really good. I was looking for unity, speaking outside of the Republican Party. And I thought I heard we a lot and not so much about himself.
Kevin, you're supporting Donald Trump. You've already said that. You gave the grade of
A B.
And what did you think of the speech?
I thought it was too long. I think.
Dude, I love these focus groups because they demonstrate that like American voters are just absolutely insane. Okay, I always say the median U.S. voter is a sea of contradictions, and these guys basically demonstrate that once again. Another thing that I always reiterate is that American voters vote based on vibes and not like actual policy, and so when Donald Trump is tonally a little bit more held back, right? That's all it takes for these guys to be like, well, he was seemingly very presidential. Okay. And it's like, no, he wasn't. He was still Hitlerian in his politics. But just because he wasn't like yelling and being like, Biden is old, I will kill every migrant. Migrants are poisoning the blood of the nation. Like, because he didn't say that, because he was like, migrants are responsible for this great nation and its death rate skyrocketing, even though murder rates are down historically, you know, even like just as long as the tone is there, they're like, oh, I guess it's fine.
I think it started off slow, but as it progressed, I believe it got a lot better.
Lena, you gave what grade?
A C.
A C. And Lena and Rich are also married right here.
Yes.
Why'd you give it a C?
Because his rhetoric hasn't changed about the election, 2020 election, and I'm really concerned that we're going to have another issue depending on who wins. So, you know, I'm just really praying that if Trump wins, the guardrails of democracy will hold.
Rich, what grade did you give it?
So I gave his speech a D.
Tell me why.
It started out great, but then he went into mistruths and grievances and attacks, and it just totally contradicted itself in terms of what he wanted to achieve with unity.
Paul, the grade you gave it?
D.
And you're supporting Biden?
Yes.
Or whoever takes his place if that happens.
Yes.
What did you think about it?
I do believe he started off with a pretty good tone for him. I thought it was good, but then he lapsed back into the Donald Trump of old.
Okay, up there in the corner, Robin and Kirsten, mother and daughter. The grade you gave it?
I gave it an A.
And why'd you give it an A?
The thing I was looking for was a change, and I felt I heard that change in his voice. I was looking for...
I mean, that haircut says it all for me, okay? That haircut says it all for me. Ladies with that haircut have a 75% chance of having the most Hitlerian politics, okay? Like, that's a lady who is going to start talking about securing the nation for our white children. You know what I mean? This one, yeah. Straight Hitlerian politics, dude. Straight. That's basically the Klansman robe.
or his discussion on getting unity together in the country, as well as the border control and inflation.
Kirsten, what grade did you give it?
C.
And why?
It started off strong, just like some other people have said, but the same old thing. It went from him.
Doesn't Hill Dog have that haircut? Yeah, point proven instantly. Okay, what do you mean?
Probably just reading the teleprompter and actually reciting the speech into his whole song and dance of just putting his own spin on things. And that's where I feel like a lot of his points get lost.
Gary and Nancy, you're a married couple too.
Yes.
You gave it what grade, Gary?
I gave it a B.
Calling women Karen is sexist and racist? Yeah, because I am. Okay, what the fuck do you mean? Yes. Calling women Karen is both sexist and anti-white racism, and I'm both of those things. Suck my dick.
Be a good first name, by the way, Gary.
Get over it.
Why B?
He went into some negativity. I was expecting much more negativity, but he did go a little bit of negativity and also some exaggerated statistics and exaggerated goals of getting us to #1 in the world as far as schools go and stuff. Those are just unrealistic.
Okay, Nancy, what grade did you give it?
I gave it a B. I thought it
Just
was
cut that guy
not
off.
negative on women, which I was so.
The truth comes out, eh? I love people just like thinking that this is like this is a narrative that will stick. For the past 3 years, people have desperately tried to make this a thing, to be like, dude, he says cracker, he's an anti-white racist. Like, it hasn't stuck. Okay, that's not a real thing. I'm fucking white. I'm joking, Law. Oh, okay. I thought you were being serious. Sorry. There are people who like unironically try to do that thing. They're all on Reddit. it just doesn't work. But, you know, let's
sort of
continue.
expecting. I thought his tone was pleasant and something that
I thought when he said there's an undocumented migrant in every corner waiting to do rapes, I thought that was very pleasant. The tone that he took, the tone that he took when he said that, when he said personally that El Salvador is releasing every criminal trapped in an insane asylum and dumping them into Wisconsin. I thought to myself, that's right. That's happening right now.
as a leader, that maybe I would be proud to have him as a leader with his more relaxed tone.
Susan, what grade did you give it?
A C.
And why did you say C?
Well, I was led to believe that there would be a change in his approach to people, and I don't feel that he met those expectations like others. I thought he started out strong and then went downhill.
Ray and Barb, you're a married couple too. Ray, you gave it what grade?
I gave it an A.
And why'd you give it an A?
Because it's Donald Trump.
Because I'm an old racist.
He doesn't
because
care.
because I'm old and I'm racist, and so is Donald Trump, and I love that.
He was who he always has been. And even though...
Why are these guys, not a single person I have seen in this focus group is undecided?
No.
Like, it sounds like every single one of them have decided. Long before this speech ever occurred, by the way. What a phenomenal group of undecided voters. By the way, this is Waukesha, which is like, you know, there's a reason why there's only one black guy there, okay? And I doubt that even he is from Waukesha. All right? They had to maybe extend the zip code a little bit to make sure that there was some people who were just not, oh, there's a black lady there too. I gave him an A because he's Donald Trump. I'm undecided.
But no young voters either. Everyone is age 50 plus.
Yeah, they reached out to young voters and they were like, sorry,
off.
Sorry. Ask me about my opinion on phantom tax and I will give it to you, but not this.
With the incident that happened Saturday, he still came out as himself.
Barb, what grade did you give it?
I gave it a B.
And why did you give it a B?
I gave it a B because, like so many people said, he started out good, strong, grateful, thankful, and then into bragging.
Have any of you changed your mind? 11 of you were undecided. Any of those 11 made a decision based on this speech, or is it still the same?
I think I'm more decided.
And what have you decided?
I've decided that I will support Trump.
Anyone else make a decision yet?
I have.
Like, the guy gave him an A and said it's because it's Donald Trump. Like, what do you mean? You're not going to raise your hand? Like, what do we... Do you think we are fucking stupid, sir?
Maybe he's just holding out, like if Hulk Hogan suddenly like ran for the Democrats, then he'd be like, well, maybe now I'll change my mind.
Yeah, I think I possibly might vote for Hulk Hogan. I'm holding out hope.
I made a decision to support him.
So 2 of our 11. Anyone else? The 2 of you?
Oh, there.
Trump.
So 4 of our 11. You gonna watch Biden in 5 weeks?
Oh, yes.
Give us speech.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Now we've got an update on the investigation.
So, yeah, Secret Service was notified, but overall, I want to get back to some of this stuff in terms of like the RNC. Is there any more? Because AOC had some takes post RNC.